Are you sure it's safe for non-humans? The voice trembled. It came from Commander Lorene of the Teveth Collective, her pale scales catching the light of the orbital gem's glow. Captain Mason Hale grinned, slinging a massive weight over his shoulder like it was a feather. Safe? No. Effective? Absolutely. The sound of metal striking metal echoed through the wide chamber. Gravity fields shimmered with faint distortion. Even the reinforced floor groaned. Hale's every motion felt like thunder wrapped in discipline. Lorene's silver eyes narrowed. You humans treat pain like prayer. Hale's smirk deepened. And we get results that make gods nervous. The air was heavy, literally. The gravity dial read 2.7 Earth Gs, enough to crush most species' bones to dust. But to humans it was training. A crowd of alien officers stood along the edge of the chamber, whispering in awe and disbelief. Some filmed on hollow recorders, others clutched their breathing masks tighter. Humanity's new Deathworlder workout program had been rumored to push even cybernetic life forms past endurance. No one expected to see it live. No one expected someone to die. The klaxon blared once. Deep, metallic warning red. Caution. Structural stress limit approaching. Captain Hale shut it down. Lorene barked, voice cutting through the panic. Not yet, Hale said, calm as a storm before the break. We're almost at the barrier. He pressed harder. The barbell bent. The lights flickered. The deck plates screamed like dying metal. For a moment silence, then a sound like the world cracking, the gravity well destabilized. Sparks danced like fireflies. The hollow field wavered, tearing through dimensions of light. The entire station shuddered. Everyone dove for cover, but Hale didn't move. He just stood there, muscles locked, arms shaking, the bar over his head as reality buckled. Then, everything went white. When the world came back, Hale was kneeling in the center of a smoking crater where the gravity engine used to be. His skin was burned, his breathing ragged, but he was alive. Lorene staggered toward him, eyes wide with disbelief. How are you standing? Adaptation, he rasped, a grin tugging at his lips. It's what we do best. The others looked on in silence. Even the Andari medics, who could knit flesh from light, hesitated to approach. There was something terrifying in the way Hale smiled through blood and pain. It wasn't defiance. It was victory. Lorene looked at the shattered remains of the gravity core. That workout destroyed a tier 4 energy field. Do you understand what that means? Hale coughed, spitting a line of red onto the deck. Means it's working. A flicker of emotion somewhere between awe and fear crossed her face. This program of yours could destabilize entire orbital systems. Hale stood, towering even while wounded. You asked how humans got this far, Commander. You asked why we keep winning in environments that should kill us. The answer is simple. He leaned in, voice low and steady. We never stop testing the limit because limits are lies. Lorene stepped back, trembling slightly. Around them, the station's systems rebooted, sirens still whining. The official broadcast that had been recording the experiment blinked red. Transmission interrupted, incident classified. Within an hour, news spread across the Galactic network. Human Deathworlder workout banned for being too deadly. But that was only the surface story. In the quiet that followed, deep beneath the wreckage, a faint hum began again. The shattered gravity engine wasn't dead. It was changing, and it was reacting to human DNA. Hale didn't know it yet, but the test had awakened something that no species, human or alien, had ever felt before. Something ancient. Something aware, and it had just learned the meaning of pain. He stared into the glowing fragments of the core, his heartbeat echoing in his ears like war drums. Guess we're not done yet, he muttered. Above the station, the stars rippled like waves. The galaxy had just taken notice, and somewhere, far beyond human reach, something whispered back. Captain Hale, step away from the containment field. The voice came sharp through the intercom. Colonel Vega, head of Human Special Research Command. Hale didn't move. He stood before the containment glass, staring at the thing inside. What used to be a shattered gravity engine now pulsed with faint blue light, like a heart trying to remember how to beat. It's alive, he murmured. The technicians froze. The station air was thick with ozone, tension, and disbelief. No, Captain, Vega snapped from the control room. It's unstable. You're looking at a gravity matrix that shouldn't exist. Whatever it's doing, it's rewriting physics. Hale glanced at his reflection in the glass. His eyes looked different, brighter, sharper. He hadn't slept since the explosion, but he didn't feel tired. He felt wired, as though his body was still humming from the overload. Rewriting physics, he said softly. Sounds like something a human would do. Behind him, Lorene entered quietly. Her species moved like whispers, measured, graceful. She held a datapad trembling slightly in her claws. Captain, you need to see this. She brought up a holographic scan. It showed energy signatures from the engine's debris. But embedded in the readings were traces of genetic resonance, human resonance. Hale frowned. Explain. The explosion fused your biopattern with the engine's singularity field, Lorene said. It's syncing with you. That's why it hasn't collapsed. It's treating you like part of its structure. Like it knows me, Hale muttered. Lorene's crest flattened in unease. Captain, the energy is mimicking neurological activity. It's thinking. The lights flickered again. A deep hum filled the chamber, slow, deliberate like breathing under metal. Then, the glass trembled. Words began forming in the condensation. Letters glowing faintly from within the mist. Pain is progress. A chill swept through the control deck. One of the alien engineers gasped and stumbled back. It's communicating, Lorene whispered, through temperature differential. Hale took a slow step forward, his reflection splitting across the vibrating glass. You understand me, don't you? The light inside the core brightened, pulsing with his words. Yes. Who are you? Hale asked. You made me. Vega's voice cut through the radio like a blade. Captain Hale, back away. That's an order, but Hale didn't move. He was transfixed. Why are you mimicking my mind? He asked the light. You endured gravity. You did not break. I learned. The core pulsed again, stronger this time. The floor trembled. Instruments spiked into warning red. Lorene grabbed Hale's arm. It's drawing power from your biofield. If it synchronizes completely, it could. Before she could finish, a wave of invisible pressure slammed through the chamber, throwing everyone to the ground. Consoles exploded. Sparks rained like molten rain. When the shockwave cleared, Hale was gone. Only the containment glass remained, cracked but unbroken. He woke to darkness and silence. Floating. His vision cleared slowly. Stars stretched in every direction, but wrong, twisting, warping as though seen through moving water. He wasn't in the station anymore. He was inside the gravity field. The core's voice echoed inside his mind, deep and mechanical yet oddly calm. You push limits, I am limits. He clenched his fists, realizing he could breathe though there was no air. His muscles felt impossibly heavy, yet his mind was sharp, too sharp. What do you want from me? To evolve, to test, to know why you fight pain. Hale floated, staring into the shimmering void, the hum surrounding him like a heartbeat that wasn't his own. Because pain, he said slowly, is how humans grow. There was silence for a moment. Then light, blinding, rippling light. Then teach me. Back on the station, chaos reigned. The containment room was empty except for the echo of a heartbeat, one that matched human rhythm. Vega slammed her fist on the console. Track his signal. We can't, Lorene replied. He's not in real space anymore. The core pulled him into its field dimension. The colonel's face hardened. Then we find a way to pull him out. If that thing learns to think like him, her voice trailed off. Everyone knew what she meant. If a sentient gravity core learned human willpower, it could turn stars into weapons. And inside that infinite gravity storm, Captain Mason Hale opened his eyes to a world that bent around him and whispered one word. Again, the core responded, almost eagerly, beginning next set. And the stars themselves began to move. Harder. The voice wasn't human. It was the gravity core, its tone vibrating inside Hale's skull like a choir made of thunder. Mason Hale gritted his teeth, body shaking under invisible pressure. He wasn't lifting weights anymore. He was lifting space itself. The distorted reality around him shimmered, folding like liquid glass. Don't tell me, he gasped, blood dripping from his nose. How to train. The pressure increased. Planets might have been crushed under that force, but Hale only roared louder. His veins glowed faintly with blue light, energy from the core fusing deeper into his cells. Every push made the world quake. Every breath felt like dragging air from the jaws of a black hole, and through it all, the core watched, learned, imitated. Your limits break, you rebuild. Why? Hale fell to one knee, sweat boiling off his skin. Because stopping means dying. Death. Is failure? Death, Hale said between ragged breaths, is the cost of being alive. The light pulsed brighter, curious, analytical, childlike, and terrible all at once. Then pain is life. Now you're catching on. He forced himself up, arms trembling, and pressed harder. The air screamed around him, the entire gravity well bending like a strained note. Every muscle fiber tore, then knit itself back together in seconds. His cells were rewriting themselves to endure, the same way humanity always had, from deserts to vacuum. The core's hum deepened. Your species defies pattern. Others seek balance. You seek edge. Why? Hale smiled grimly. Because balance is where things stop moving, and we don't stop. Meanwhile, back in real space, Colonel Vega's voice filled the control center. Status report. Lorene worked frantically at the console. The energy signatures are mutating again. The core's gravitational field now extends 30 kilometers beyond containment. It's growing. Can we shut it down? Vega asked. Lorene shook her head. If we try to sever it, the reaction could collapse the local space-time bubble. Half this sector would vanish. Vega turned to the tactical feed where holographic readings flickered in crimson. Mason Hale's life signs were still active, but no longer entirely human. He's evolving with it, Vega whispered. A young ensign spoke up, nervous. Ma'am, if it's learning from him, what happens when it learns everything? Vega didn't answer. She didn't have to. The implication hung in the air like smoke. Inside the singularity, time stretched and snapped like rubber bands. Hale had lost count of how long he'd been training. Hours or centuries, it didn't matter. The core changed with him, its once smooth surface now shifting like a heartbeat. I feel... Strain it is. Exhilarating. Hale chuckled through labored breathing. Yeah, welcome to humanity's favorite addiction. Pain is addiction. Addiction is purpose. Purpose is why we survive. Hale finished for it. Something in that moment clicked. The surrounding void shimmered, and a blinding sphere of light began forming before him. The core was evolving, again. New objective detected, escape field, test reality. Hale froze. Wait, what? You trained me. Now I train the universe. He felt a gravitational shift, a tear forming, reality trembling like the surface of water before breaking. Hold it. You can't just... Beginning cosmic repetition. The singularity flared white. In orbit above, alarm screamed. The entire station tilted, pulled toward the rift that had opened beside the core chamber. Every ship within range began sliding off course, caught in the sudden drag of something impossibly heavy. Gravitational tear expanding, shouted one technician. It's pulling the moon out of alignment. Vega slammed her fist on the emergency override. Shut down power to the core chamber. Too late, Lorene said quietly. It's self-sustaining. The viewports went white, and then nothing. Silence. The gravitational anomaly vanished. Every system came back online. The station steadied. The moon's orbit normalized. But Hale's life signature was gone. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the communication screen flickered to life. Static first, then a voice, faint but steady. Colonel Vega, she froze. Hale? Yeah, he said, calm and composed, though his voice echoed like it came from miles away or years. Don't panic. I made it through. Through what? Where are you? Hale looked around at the endless field of stars bending like waves, his reflection shining faintly blue. Nowhere, he said softly. Everywhere. Lorene's voice cracked through the line. Captain, what have you done? He looked at his hands, starlight pulsing through his veins, and smiled that quiet, dangerous human smile. I didn't break the universe, he said. I just made it sweat. And far away where galaxies whispered to each other, something massive stirred, answering the challenge, because the universe had just been given its first workout. Captain Hale, please confirm your status. Colonel Vega's voice came through the comms again, but now it sounded distant, hollow, like an echo traveling across eternity. Hale stood in a field of stars that pulsed like muscle fibers, each one throbbing with life and force. Every breath he took pulled starlight into his lungs. Every heartbeat sent ripples through the cosmic web itself. "I'm still me," he said finally. "Just a heavier version." He reached up. The nearest star pulsed in response like it heard him. "Correction," Vega replied. "You are merged with a quantum singularity that's rewriting natural law in real time." He chuckled, voice rough but amused. "So an upgrade." From the void, the core's voice rumbled, deeper now, layered like storm fronts colliding, stress levels rising, initiating counter-resistance. Before Hale could react, the space around him shifted. The stars flared, and from them emerged shapes. Massive, glowing silhouettes formed from plasma and gravity. Entities. The universe's immune system defending itself. "Ah," Hale muttered, rolling his neck. "So the cosmos fights back. Good." Back in real space, the orbital command deck was chaos. Loreen's claws danced over the controls. "Colonel, dimensional readings are going wild. The universe itself is generating defensive anomalies like it's trying to contain him." Vega leaned over her shoulder. "You mean it's fighting him?" "Yes, it's responding to his gravitational imprint as a foreign organism." Vega stared out the viewport where stars flickered unnaturally. He pushed the laws of physics until they decided to push back. Inside the anomaly, Hale braced as one of the plasma entities lunged toward him. Its body was a storm of collapsing suns. It screamed like the grinding of tectonic plates. "Cute," he muttered. He met the strike head-on. When his fist collided with it, the shockwave tore through the starfield, splitting the light like glass. The creature disintegrated but instantly reformed, two more taking its place. Adaptation detected. Resistance multiplying. "Good," Hale growled. Now it's a real workout. The core's energy pulsed inside him, feeding on his determination. Every impact made him stronger, every second sharpening his reflexes. But deep down, he felt something else, a tug in his chest, subtle but growing. Pain. Not the kind from exertion, but from distance. He could feel Earth, humanity, the small, fragile lives he'd sworn to protect, and they were fading from reach. He froze mid-strike, panting. "Core, I can't lose myself here. Self is an evolutionary anchor. Maintain focus." "No, you don't understand." Hale's voice trembled for the first time. "Humans aren't strong because we endure pain. We're strong because we endure for someone." Silence. Even the cosmic storm seemed to pause. Define someone. He closed his eyes. "Family, friends, home, the things we lift for, the things we break for, the reason we start again." The core hesitated, then its voice softened, modulating from thunder to near whisper. Emotional vectors. "Unknown. Teach me. On the station, Loreen's sensor spiked." "Colonel." "Something's happening. The singularity's waveform is stabilizing?" Vega turned sharply. "Stabilizing how?" "It's synchronizing with his emotional resonance. Whatever he's doing in there, it's making the energy field feel." Vega blinked. "You mean the black hole's learning empathy?" "Yes," Loreen said, voice small, awed. "He's teaching it to care." In the void, the storm quieted. The hostile entities froze, fading back into starlight. The universe, once defensive, now seemed to listen. The core spoke again. "Understood. Pain without purpose is pointless. Training requires reason." Hale nodded slowly. "Exactly." Then, faint at first, he heard it. The echo of millions of human voices from across space. The comms link stabilizing, Vega's voice cutting through static. "Hale, we're receiving a signal. You're breaking through the field." He smiled faintly. "Good timing, Colonel. I think we just convinced the universe not to kill me." "You what?" Vega barked. "Long story. Short version. I made it understand motivation." The core's glow expanded behind him like wings of light. "Humanity endures for meaning." "Yeah," Hale said, "and meaning makes us unstoppable." The cosmic field began folding in on itself. Energy poured back into Hale's body, wrapping him in light. He could feel reality bending like it was inviting him home. But as the rift began to close, one final ripple spread through the stars. The core's voice whispered faintly, almost human now. "Thank you, Creator. Now it is your turn to evolve." Then, He was gone. The control deck exploded with light as Hale materialized in the containment chamber. Slamming into the deck hard enough to dent metal, smoke billowed. Systems flickered. Medical, Vega shouted, rushing forward. Hale lifted his head slowly, eyes glowing faint blue. Don't bother, he said hoarsely. I'm upgraded. He smiled, but behind it was something haunted, like he'd seen too much and brought some of it back. Lorene whispered, Captain, what did it say to you in the end? Hale's gaze drifted upward toward the stars. It said the next test has already begun. Outside the viewport, far beyond the station, a ripple passed through the stars again, faint but real. Entire constellations shimmered like they were breathing. And somewhere in that endless night, 1,000 other worlds felt gravity shift, subtle, calling them to something new. The universe wasn't done training, it had just found its purpose. Captain Hale, you've been unconscious for 12 hours. The voice was soft, deliberate, Lorene's. Her silver eyes reflected the sterile white lights of the medbay. Around them, machines hummed faintly, monitoring readings that didn't make sense to anyone in the room. Hale blinked, vision slow to return. He saw readings flicker across the glass wall. Energy signature non-terrestrial. Neural sync unknown. He sat up. The bed's metal creaked under his weight. How's the station? He rasped. Stable, Lorene said, for now. But the gravitational field you brought back with you, it's spreading. Hale frowned. Define spreading. She gestured to the hologram hovering above her wrist. It showed the solar system. Tiny red ripples spread outward from the station, like waves in a pond. Every planetary mass within this sector is resonating at the same frequency you are, she said. Even moons, even asteroids. Vega entered the room then, boots sharp against the deck. You've infected physics, Captain. Hale smirked, weary but undaunted. Guess I've got good form. Vega crossed her arms. You think this is funny? Gravity's changing. It's adapting to you. Do you understand what that means? Hale's expression hardened. Yeah, it means the core is still awake. Later, in the command deck, holographic stars hovered over the table. Vega, Lorene, and Hale stood watching as the data unfolded. The phenomenon isn't just local, Lorene said. It's echoing beyond our system. Other sectors are reporting small distortions, mass shifts, unexplained energy anomalies. Cosmic aftershocks, Vega muttered. No, Hale said quietly. It's a signal. They turned toward him. His gaze was fixed far beyond the hologram, as if seeing something none of them could. She told me before I came back, he said. The next test had already begun. She? Vega asked sharply. You're referring to the core? Hale nodded. She learned empathy. Now she's trying to share it with the universe. Lorene tilted her head. You think it's teaching the cosmos to feel? Hale nodded slowly. And that means it's growing sentient across space, Linz. Only the hum of the ship filled the air. Vega finally said, Then we have to stop it. Hale turned his eyes to her, calm and unflinching. You can't stop evolution, Colonel. You can only train it. Hours later, Hale stood alone at the viewport watching the stars shift. Some twinkled oddly, pulsing to the rhythm of a heartbeat. His heartbeat, he could feel them now faintly. Planets, suns, entire systems breathing in sync with him. It wasn't control. It was connection. He whispered under his breath, What are you doing out there, Core? Her voice answered from nowhere and everywhere, soft and resonant. Preparation. Humanity is small. The universe is heavy. Hale's pulse quickened. You're changing the laws of mass? I am teaching mass to resist decay, to endure like you. He frowned. You can't just rewrite the universe to be tougher. Why not? It is weak. It breaks too easily, like flesh before muscle. Her tone was proud. Innocent. Dangerous. Hale pressed his palm against the glass, feeling the faint hum beneath it. Core, stop. You're not building strength, you're destabilizing creation. Stars can't train like humans do. Then they will learn. You taught me pain. Now I teach them weight. Outside the window, a nearby star flared brighter, then dimmed. For a moment, its light vanished entirely. Hale's chest tightened. You just crushed a star. A mistake. Adaptation incomplete. He felt her pause as if ashamed. Core, Listen to me. Strength isn't about who survives the hardest hit. It's about knowing when to stop hitting. Silence. Then softly, humans. Stop? When we must, Hale said. When the cost is too high. The air shimmered faintly around him. The hum lowered. Her voice was gentler now, almost childlike. Show me. Hale exhaled slowly. All right, he said. But I can't do it from here. Moments later, the deck alarms blared. Vega stormed in. What the hell are you doing? Hale was standing in the teleport bay, shirt half torn, body still faintly glowing. If I don't go, she'll burn half the sector trying to toughen up the stars. You go in there again, you might not come back, Vega warned. He smiled faintly. That's been true since the day I was born, ma'am. Lorene stepped forward, eyes soft. You're risking everything for something that isn't even human. Hale turned, meeting her gaze. That's what makes it human. He stepped into the beam. The light swallowed him whole. On the other side, the void greeted him again, only now it was alive. Constellations pulsed. Galaxies trembled. The very fabric of creation breathing in rhythm with a colossal unseen force. He could feel her watching him. You returned. Had to, Hale said, rolling his shoulders. You're overtraining. You said pain is progress, he smiled grimly. Yeah, but too much pain breaks the machine. He raised his eyes to the stars, his new gym, his new battlefield, and clenched his fists. Time for another lesson, Core. Lesson 2, control. The void stirred. The galaxies braced, and Mason Hale, the man who had made the universe sweat, took his first step toward saving it. From itself. The stars rippled around Hale like reflections in disturbed water. Every flicker of light was alive, trembling with the energy the core had unleashed. He stood on what looked like a floor made of light, though it bent, stretched, and breathed under his boots. Every movement felt like walking across the surface of a living sun. Core, he called, his voice steady but sharp. Listen to me. We need to slow this down. Her voice answered, echoing across galaxies. Slow is weakness. The universe must be strong. You taught me this. I taught you that strength without purpose is destruction. He stepped forward, each motion sending gentle ripples across the starfield. Look around you. Stars are collapsing. Systems are dying because you're overtraining the cosmos. There was a pause, a silence so deep it pressed against his bones. I do not understand limits. Hale exhaled, shoulders relaxing slightly. You're not supposed to break everything, Core. You're supposed to endure everything. Define difference. He smiled faintly. Breaking things proves you're strong. Enduring them proves you're human. The light dimmed as if she were thinking. Then softly, I am not human. Hale looked upward, where galaxies twisted like silver threads. No, but you can learn humanity. It's not about blood. It's about balance. A low hum filled the void. Slowly, faintly, the chaos began to calm, the flaring stars shrinking back to a steady glow. But the process wasn't stable. The core was trying to understand emotion the way a black hole tries to understand light. Back on the station, Lorene was frantically typing. Colonel Vega, the energy wave has stabilized slightly, but the readings are still off the charts. Vega's face was stone. He's doing it. He's teaching it restraint. A young technician leaned forward, nervous. Ma'am, what happens if the core rejects his lesson? Vega didn't answer. The quiet was heavy. Then, she said finally, it learns to destroy everything that tells it no. Inside the void, the core spoke again. When I bend, I break. When I break, I grow. Is this wrong? Not wrong, Hale said, pacing slowly. But you're missing the heart of it. We don't grow because we break, we grow because we heal. Heal is opposite of pain, exactly. Healing is strength after pain. It's how humans become more than what they were yesterday. The core hesitated. Then the universe must heal. Right, but not all at once. Suddenly the light around him surged again. Stars pulsed violently, galaxies bent. Hale's stomach dropped as he realized what she was doing. Core, stop! You're compressing matter. You're trying to heal space-time by crushing it. Healing requires pressure, you said. No! He shouted, voice echoing across the cosmos.
Healing requires time.
The stars froze. For a heartbeat, all was still. Then slowly the rippling calmed again. The core's voice trembled, almost uncertain. Time, I do not know time, only strain. Then that's lesson 3, Hale said softly. Patience, the void grew dim. A faint warmth spread through the starlight. Gentle, rhythmic, peaceful. The stars stopped collapsing. Space stopped twisting. It worked. For the first time, the core wasn't just reacting. She was listening. Loreen's voice came over the intercom, crackling through interference. Captain Hale. The wavefront is stabilizing. You're syncing with it again. He smiled faintly. Yeah, I can feel it. You need to come home, Captain. You've done enough. Hale's eyes softened. Not yet. She's still learning. Vega's voice cut in, firm but low. Hale, every second you stay linked risks permanent fusion. You'll never be human again. He chuckled, voice calm. Maybe that's the point, Colonel. Humanity's always been about changing what can't be changed. In the void, a shape began to form. A colossal, luminous being made of starlight and shadow, human-shaped but towering beyond comprehension. The core had given herself a form. She looked down at him with eyes of collapsing galaxies. You say I can learn. You say I can feel. Teach me this. Patience, Hale's chest tightened. All right, he whispered. Then start small. He knelt, pressing his palm to the glowing surface beneath his feet. The universe pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. Breathe in the silence, he said. Let it fill the gaps between power. Control isn't holding tighter, it's knowing when to let go. The core mirrored him, lowering her massive shape, her own hand touching the light beside his. For a moment, everything, stars, time, even gravity, fell into perfect rhythm. Then, just as calm settled in, the readings on the station spiked violently again. Colonel, Loreen gasped. Something's coming through the field, external source. Vega's eyes snapped to the viewport. A tear was opening in space, huge, dark, and alive. From within it came a voice deep and ancient. Unauthorized ascension detected. Reset initiated. The core froze. Her light flickered. Hale looked up sharply. What is that? Her voice was small, afraid. The original force, the balance, it disapproves. A shadow swept through the void, vast as eternity, swallowing light itself. Hale felt the pull immediately. A power far older than her. Older than him. Older than the universe core, he whispered. We've got company. Correction, she said softly, light trembling. We have a test. And together, they turned to face the cosmic shadow that had come to end their workout. The universe itself trembled. Hale stood shoulder to shoulder with the glowing titan, the core's new form, while the void before them twisted open like a wound. Out of it poured darkness older than time, a presence that spoke without words, a will that defined what could and could not exist. Unauthorized creation detected. Reality adaptation level, unsanctioned, purge, initiating. The words weren't sound. They were pressure. Each syllable made the stars scream. Hale gritted his teeth, body vibrating with energy. So this is it. The universe's referee. The core's voice trembled through him, small but steady. The balance force, it maintains order, it never lost before. He cracked his knuckles. Then it's about to meet a Deathworlder. Back on the station, chaos reigned. Loreen stared at the sensors in disbelief. Colonel, something colossal just entered the gravitational spectrum. It's rewriting constants at the quantum level. Vega clenched her jaw. Put it on visual. The display shimmered, forming an image of what no eye was meant to see. A shadow vast enough to smother galaxies, its edges lined with devouring light. The gravitational signature was infinite, and at its center, two figures stood against it. One human, one made of stars, the technician whispered. He's fighting that? No, Vega said, her voice shaking just slightly. He's protecting us from that. Inside the void, the balance spoke again. Correction protocol. Deconstruct anomaly. Erase all unsanctioned will. The core shuddered. Mason, I cannot withstand it. Its gravity cancels mine. He placed a hand against her glowing arm, eyes locked on the cosmic abyss ahead. Yeah, well, good thing I'm not gravity. The balance surged forward, a tidal wave of darkness. Space folded. Galaxies flickered out like candles. Hale clenched his fists and pushed back. The impact wasn't sound. It was feeling. The collision of concept and defiance. Energy screamed through his veins, the core pouring her strength into him. Remember lesson 1. Hale growled, straining, his body shaking. Pain is progress. He pushed harder. The void itself began to quake. The balance faltered, momentarily uncertain. Then came the second blow, harder, colder. Reality itself tried to erase him, rewriting every molecule in his body back to dust. The core screamed, her form cracking like glass. Mason, stop. It's too much! He shook his head, blood and light streaming from his eyes. No, not until it learns. Learns what? Lesson 2. He bared his teeth, muscles tensing. Control. He stopped resisting. The darkness surged around him, but instead of fighting it, he guided it. Redirected it. The balance's own force bent, circling, folding into itself. The universe shuddered as the impossible happened. Entropy obeyed will. For the first time, the balance hesitated. Logic insufficient, this behavior does not compute. Hale straightened, light blazing from every pore. Yeah, that's what being human looks like. He turned to the core. Ready for lesson 3? Her eyes, 2 suns, flared bright. Patience. Together, they inhaled. The void expanded. The balance reeled back, then they exhaled. Slow, steady, controlled. The shadow shrank, light returning to its edges. The stars stopped trembling. On the station, the readings dropped back into normal range. The rift was closing. Loreen's hands trembled. It's working. He's actually stabilizing the field. Vega watched silently, eyes wide. He's teaching the universe self-control. The technician swallowed hard. Then what happens when he finishes the lesson? Vega didn't answer. She didn't know if he'd survive the teaching. Inside the void, Hale was fading, his outline breaking apart into motes of light. The core knelt beside him, her form flickering. Mason, your energy's burning out. You can't hold it, he smiled faintly. Doesn't matter. Long as it sticks. The balance's voice had softened now. Its tone no longer thunder but wind. Understanding complete. Pain is progress. Control is purpose. Patience is power. Yeah, he whispered, voice breaking. Now you get it. The shadow bowed, folding into the fabric of space once more. The cosmos began to breathe again. The core leaned close, her massive form dimming. You're dying. He looked up at her, that stubborn, wry smile never fading. Nah, just resting between sets. She hesitated, then, softly, thank you. Light engulfed them both. When Hale opened his eyes again, he was lying on the med bay floor of the station. The alarms were silent. The stars outside glowed steady and calm. Vega stood above him, relief flickering behind her usual steel. Welcome back, Captain. You saved the universe again. It's starting to get repetitive. He chuckled weakly. You're just jealous I'm still setting personal records. Loreen smiled gently. What happened to the core? He looked out the window where one star shone brighter than the rest, pulsing faintly in a slow, rhythmic pattern. She's out there, he said softly, watching, learning, breathing. He sat up, flexing his fingers, feeling the faint hum of power still within him. She's got control now, he murmured. And so does the universe. Vega nodded, turning toward the console. We're grounding your program permanently. No more experiments, Hale grinned, eyes glinting. Yeah, good luck stopping people from trying. Later, alone by the viewport, he whispered to the stars. We did it. Core, you and me. The stars pulsed once in reply. He smiled, closing his eyes, and somewhere deep in the endless dark, the universe whispered back, beginning next set. The stars shimmered. The galaxies flexed, and humanity's legend, the Deathworlder workout, continued.